Hello, we are here for one more lesson of this AxisVM training course, and the topic for today will be menu edit. Following our previous lesson where we've seen menu file, we'll go along these pop menus, and this video in particular we will see all the commands and options that are inside edit. So starting with this menu, the first function in the edit command is something called undo, and the undo, it is something that we found in many of Windows applications. Basically undo undoes the effect of the previous command. So if you have only one command, it will go one step behind. If you have more, it will go back all the steps necessary to reach a certain previous level on your work. In our particular case, I've just opened the file, so I don't have anything to undo. But for example, if I create some geometry like this, now if I go to undo, it identifies that the last command was the create line, so I can undo create line and I will go back one step. The next command is something called the redo, and the redo undoes the undo. So with these two commands we can go back and forward on the several steps we use in our work. So undo goes back, redo makes a forward in the list of commands. The next one is the repeat last command. So it's a shortcut and a way to repeat what we've done previously. So if we go there, so it will repeat the same command we've done before, avoiding that way in some particular cases where the command is hidden under several menus and dialog boxes. So it will speed up our work, especially if we use the space bar that acts like a shortcut for this repeat last command. Then we have one option called the select all, and when we do the select all, we can make the selection first, in this particular case of everything, and then we can use some commands that take advantage of this selection all. Something similar to the ones above, so restore previous selection. So I've done several previous selections, and in here I can recover the last one that was chosen. So also a very interesting function. Then this part of this menu where we have functions similar to the majority of software applications, where we have these kind of things, copy paste, and then options for the copy paste and the delete. So copy, we can copy something. Okay, let's try to copy something, or we can choose something first and go to copy, and then we can do the paste, and the paste will allow us to put what we've copied in some place. So if you see here, I have something in my cursor. So if I click it somewhere, I do a paste around here. Okay. Then we have the copy paste options. So we can define some options both for the copy, where we can choose from these associated objects, and we have options for supports, loads, dimensions, and reinforcements. We can choose among these options here or the selected ones for all these particular things. And when we do the paste, we have different possibilities also for these three groups: load cases, parts, and paste position. So we can choose among these options to work with this copy paste. The functions are quite open, and the options are, I think, are also very clear. So I suppose it makes no sense to see individually each one of these things. Then we have something called the delete, and the delete allow us to delete whatever we want. So we can make this filter. We can say all and choosing some of these things, or we can do something like this, okay, and do the delete. So it is possible to work with this also like this. Let us do one more. So delete. Following the order, so we have the table browser. Table browser we've seen already in one of the previous lessons. So it's a browser with data that we have for multiple items inside Axis. Report maker, we've already seen this, so it's the dialog box that allows us to create reports and make all the configurations related with this topic. Then we can have also one option called add drawing to gallery that saves one image of this current window or all the windows that we can use in reports. So if we call it something, we save it, and we've created an image of what we are seeing. Then we have this option here called drawings library that it's also a kind of manager for the drawing library. So I don't have this particular case nothing done here, but it's a manager for this information. We can save to drawings library, so I can save it, for example, doing the OK. And now if I come to my drawing library, I can manage this information about my model. We have something interesting also that is called weight report that allow us to have information about the weights of the entire model or selected elements, or we can also list a table per material, per cross section, or per surface type, and we display all of these things about what we are working with in our drawing. So it's also a very interesting part of information that we can get from the model. Then we have something called these assembly structural members. And this is something that allows us to join several elements in one single one. So Axis handles line elements as structural members. This means that this mesh, the meshing of these line elements creates finite elements, but these lines themselves are not divided. So with this we can join these members if they are adjacent to one another, which for example is the case in this particular model, where if we do something like this, this line member with this one, for example these two. If we do the OK, we see one structural member was created from two selected lines, and you were able to see after I click on the OK that I will get one single one. So you see it's only one member now. The following option, the break apart, basically does the opposite and creates again the two members that we had. Then we can have also something interesting called this the conversion of beams to shell model, which does something like this. We can also convert the loads if we have them here, and we get this kind of model now. This does not affect the calculation, but we can have this option also, which may be interesting. We can have these shell models also to nodal connection. For example, we can choose one node or more. With these parameters, we can create something like this, and we can create shell models with this distance that were defined. And basically, this also it is interesting, but these parameters are the same as of the previous one, but we have this length of conversion to create the shell model. The shell model is connected to the remaining part through rigid bodies. So it is something that we can also have perfect control about this, and we know what we are getting. Now we can have these surface loads distributed over beams. Which we can see, for example, I'm not sure if I have something in here which I can show you. I don't have any particular case in this here, but this command in particular converts, as the name says, these surface loads and distribute them over the beams. I don't have any particular case created over here, so I'm afraid I cannot show you this command in particular. Let us see the two previous ones. This one, which is not highlighted here, this convert loads does basically the conversion of the load panels to individual loads, which in this model we don't have either, so that is why we have this grayed out. Finally, we have this option, convert automatic references, which converts the loads or the references assigned to a line into reference vectors. So if I say, for example, I'm not sure what is the definition done, but let us say all of this, and you can see that I have in some positions I have some vectors, and this is converted with these automatic references. Let me try to open another file. I'm not sure. I don't want to open this one, and let me try to open the beam file. Very simple. So let me see. Convert surface loads. So select the load. I can select it, and I'm not sure if something was convert it so I can select, for example, something like this, and we can modify uh, this panel load, and we can have some control of this definition also. But as you can see, we have some parameters that we can use to make this definition of the distribution of the load on top of the element. So we will have more examples of this use in the videos that we are going to release with examples after all the lessons are done. As explanation, I think we've covered everything in this edit menu. So if you need any additional help or to clear some of the topics that were mentioned in the video, you know what are our contacts. So let us know your questions or the help you may need so that we can give you all the support.